Welcome back to Good Day Big Bear. Thanks for staying tuned with us. We've added a third to the group. I'm John Wells. This is Dan Bathurst.
And this is Martha McKinley.
Welcome, Martha.
With
Hello,
Summit Funding.
welcome.
Thank you for coming in so early.
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Now, is this a little bit outside of banker's hours?
Definitely. Definitely. Wow. You know, for those that know me, they know that, wow, she's in the office till 8 o'clock at night, so for her to be here at 7
7 o'clock is quite a
Pretty
step.
good
Yeah.
deal.
And we do have the phone lines open. If you have a question for us, feel free to give a call. We'll try and cover everything. Before we get started there, where are you from originally?
I was born, believe it or not, in Anaheim, California.
Oh, my.
That's right.
Local girl.
Anaheim, California.
Right on. You don't find too many of those.
Nope. California native.
Yeah. How long have you been in Big Bear?
30 years.
30 years?
30 years
Little while.
I've lived here.
Did you move when you were like 3?
I did. Yeah, I'm only 30 now.
There
so.
you go. Very
Yeah,
good.
so good.
And how long have you been doing mortgages?
Oh boy, let's see. If for those of you that have been here a long time, I started with Security Pacific National Bank, which houses the Union Bank now in town. I was their chief financial officer and assistant branch manager, and when the merge came, when basically B of A bought many of the Security Pacific
Right.
National Banks, this one was picked up by Union, and I thought, now is the time for me to really go into strictly doing mortgages, and I went to work with Bill Solis, if any of you remember him, at State Funding. Worked with him for probably 5 years, and then went on to First Mountain Bank, where I opened up their mortgage division. Then from there, CTX Mortgage, a direct lender, and that's what I prefer, is a direct lender servicer, which is where I have landed now with Summit Funding.
Well, maybe we should start by talking about what does that mean?
A direct lender?
service. Yes.
Well, it's different from brokering. A broker is basically an office that every product or program, every loan that someone qualifies for, you're sending it out to another entity, okay? To like Prudential or to Chase, or, you're not funding them in-house.
Right.
We have our own money. So we're a mortgage banker, and therefore we have a little more flexibility with underwriting guidelines, we have a loan committee if something doesn't quite fit in that box of qualifying.
Right.
So it's able to go on to that,
So would it be a correct assumption that you're kind of eliminating a middleman there?
Yes.
So you can talk to the guy with
definitely.
the checkbook, it sounds
Definitely.
like.
Yes, there's just a lot more, I think, flexibility. We're able to get things through that other companies can't.
Is that
And,
similar to a credit union as well?
Well, some credit unions actually are broker sources, so, it's kind of interesting too.
As a consumer, how would I, if I'm shopping for somebody to go to work with, because my first job as a consumer is find somebody that wants to give me money.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. What kind of questions would I ask? Would I say, are you a direct, or what would the questionnaire be?
I think what's more important is your personal situation and being pre-approved for a product that will ultimately get you in the home.
Right.
I think that's probably what I would really focus on. I think actually asking people, or like someone like me, like a loan officer, how long have you been doing this? Are you licensed? That's huge, because some of the banks, believe it or not, your big banks, we won't use names, well, B of A, because they're not up here. So like a Bank of America, or what else? A Chase, a lot of those people that you walk into the bank that you've had a relationship with for years.
Right, have a checkbook here forever.
Right. You sit down, you start talking to this loan person, they're not licensed with the NMLS, or they're only licensed as a charter, okay? The bank is licensed. So a lot of that knowledge is not there, and they're just going through, asking you questions 1 through 10,
Sure.
which is what they're taught to do, but they really don't have the knowledge of what happens when your loan package goes to a processor, a processing department. What happens when the appraisal is ordered? What does an appraisal report even mean? What do you look at for conditions? What do you look at for value? What do you look at things that have to be remedied, right?
Right.
So it's very interesting. It's just very interesting. The knowledge, I don't think, is quite there with a lot of the people that are directly in the bank, where with a mortgage banker like myself, I mean, we are trained. We are trained big time, and many of us, well, I know I am. I really stay on top of everything. It's like crazy. I stay on top of everything that's new, current, underwriting guidelines, the law. Sometimes I even share that with some of our local, loan people.
I can really support what you're saying. My daughter is working for a bank now, and she's in the loan department.
Okay.
And she is not licensed. They're training her.
Yeah.
But she's actually sitting at a desk and confronting people and giving out information. And I mean, don't take that personally, Miranda. But, it's just the idea that it's important to have somebody that is 100% qualified to answer all your
I
questions,
agree.
not part of them. Because once you walk out the door, and if you're just as confused when you went out as you walked in, what good is that?
Would it be fair to say that if I went to a bank and got turned down, that isn't necessarily the final word?
Yeah, because sometimes they're not looking at all the different opportunities for you to obtain financing. For example, what if you had a non-occupant co-borrower?
Non-occupant co-borrower.
Right, that's somebody
Get
who
your pen and
doesn't,
pencil out now.
somebody who doesn't live with you, but actually is a relative, and they've got strong credit.
Like dad signing on the loan or
there
something.
you go.
Okay.
But if they go on with you, then a lot of times that'll change the decision. Do you see? Because you've just reduced the risk factor to the lender.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that. Even buying with another business partner, if you're buying a second home type thing or an investment property, if maybe you don't fully qualify, maybe two
Together
will qualify. Yeah. So there's just different things that I think they don't really, what do I want to say? They don't, it doesn't fit the box,
Right.
so they turn it down. They'll just say, well, if it doesn't meet these 10 questions,
We're done.
yeah, we're done.
I see. So do shop around. Go a little further than just one place.
Come see me.
Does it hurt to go to, because I don't want my credit report dinged for doing too many searches. Does that have an impact?
Sometimes if they've run a credit report and they can provide you with a copy, I will look at that. I will
So you
look
don't
at
have to
that
do it
to
again.
pre-approve them, right. But if we ultimately end up taking on this loan, then I have to run one that's in our name.
Right.
Okay, for the loan.
Okay. You've mentioned pre-qualified a couple of times. What's the difference between pre-qualified, pre-approved, and how important is that when I'm looking for a house?
Well, pre-qualified, and this is something, we see it all the time, you as realtors see it.
We got a letter.
People come up, they've got a letter from ABC Mortgage Company, you are pre-qualified to, or pre-approved even, it'll say in that verbiage.
Most of the times those are just sent to you in the mail.
Well, it's ridiculous, because really all they're doing is a real quick questionnaire. How much do you make? How long have you been on your job? Let's see.
Yeah, the process is not complete.
No.
Yeah.
What is your credit? They don't even run a credit. They just ask you, do you have good credit? Well, okay, then you're good there. Credit, income, assets. All right, we'll issue that letter. But the funny thing is sometimes the realtors up here will have those folks give me a call, and I will sit down with those clients either on the weekend or during the week or on the phone, and I will do a thorough pre-approval process, which I verify the credit, the income, the assets. I'm looking at tax returns. Why am I looking at those tax returns? Because there are a lot of things on 1040 tax returns that may disqualify a client. Unreimbursed expenses, Schedule C income, which is, basically the self-employment income. Because a lot of times when you talk to a self-employed person, you say, how much money?
I don't make any money, but I'm self-employed.
It's amazing. You'll say, how much money do you make? And they say $100,000 a year. Well, you look at that Schedule C and they make $15,000 adjusted gross. Well, see, we have to take that all into account, as well as Schedule E income, which is rental income. Those are other things that can affect the qualifying of a borrower. So I think, I like to do it very thorough. Run the credit, look at the tax returns, verify their assets, and make sure that those assets have been in a bank account seasoned for the last 2 months, or they're coming from the sale of stock or a 401k loan, any of that kind of stuff, because all of that can ultimately affect the pre-approval or
Right.
your loan's going through for your client.
Is there a time frame on a pre-approval?
You know, I tell people, if I'm meeting with them in person, I tell them what to bring, and I can do it in less than an hour, okay? If I do it on the phone, a lot of times I can do it in 15, 20 minutes. You know, I can have them read through and tell me what's on what line of their 1040 return and issue those pre-approval letters to you, you know, ASAP.
And so you don't get the cart before the horse. It's probably smarter to go first and see a lender
Always.
and see where you
Always.
stand and then get an idea of what the amount of money that you can actually afford to buy.
Always.
With. And then, so, because what I look at, and a lot of times, and we touched on this a little bit, is a lot of people out there are just afraid to go into this because they had a short sale or a foreclosure, or they lost their job and they were out of work for a while and they got a little behind. And,
Right.
And what is the for the credit rating? What is the lowest FICO score that you can usually get somebody into?
That's kind of an interesting point too, is with a direct lender and especially Summit, because we service a lot of our VA and FHA loans, we can go down to 580, which is really awesome, okay? Mostly any other company, it's going to be 620, 640,
right.
okay? That's what they're looking
That's
for.
a big deal.
And on second homes, it'll go down to 620. So it's just that there will be hits to the pricing. So in other words, if someone has a FICO score of 620, they're putting 20% down on a second home. Instead of getting an interest rate of like 4.5 at 0 points, they'll probably be paying 5%. And why is that? Because all those new guidelines that have been set, you know, into place now, since the housing financial debacle. Yeah, that's what I call it. But anyways, they pretty much base everything on risk. You know, your down payment,
Sure.
your interest rate.
How much are you invested into this
that's right.
property for that?
That's
I
right.
guess. Mhm. Can you, in 30 seconds or less, give us all the criterias?
No, I
All right, how
can't.
about-
You guys would have to have me back on a per specific program. You
Well,
know,
can you kind of get some of the programs that are out there that people may not know exist today? Because there's a lot of variety.
First of all, 100% financing.
Okay,
There
100%
you
financing. The really cool loan that's available for primary residents only across the mountain communities is the USDA
Keyword,
loan.
primary resident.
That's right, USDA loans. And
Isn't that who like approves milk?
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
And meat.
But it's such
Yeah,
a
I
great
mean-
loan. In the old days, 20 years ago, we all referred to it as the farm loan.
Right.
Right.
But it has evolved, and it's just referred to as USDA financing, and it has really been
Now
a
the
great...
rural loan.
Yeah, the rural loan. It's just been a great product for up here in Big Bear.
So does 100% financing mean 100% financing, but not necessarily that you don't need to come up with money to make the deal happen?
Right, and that's a good point, because you are going to have closing costs that are involved with that transaction. Now, the beauty is, though, if you have a
3%
realtor
participation.
that you're working with that is aware of this program, they're going to know that you can ask the seller to pay those closing costs on behalf of the buyer. So therefore, it truly is a zero cost loan to our
And-
buyers.
But that has to happen fairly early in the process.
Sure,
Yes.
that's in the negotiating.
Right.
Yes.
Up
Yeah.
front. Make
Yeah.
sure
Not
it's
not when you get to the closing table and go, whoa, what do you mean I got to come up with money?
No.
Yeah.
And you know, when properties are listed, for example, at 100 or 120,000, then you need to educate that buyer also that you're coming in at that 100 or 120 because you're asking Mr. Seller to pay those closing costs on your behalf up to, you know, $5,000 or $6,000. So it's a great loan. A low MI, that's another feature
MI?
of it. Mortgage insurance.
Okay.
Yeah. That's for the term of the loan, and FHA, which is what most people have heard of, that's up to 1.35% of the loan amount. So, you know, on a $100,000 loan, that's like $135 a month you're paying for mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. Whereas on USDA, it's only $40. See the difference? It's a
Huge
third.
difference, yes.
Yeah, so
That
for
is an amazing loan.
right,
And
it's an
that's going to
amazing
expire,
loan.
isn't it?
The end of September is the last week in September is the last week we can originate. USDA in the mountain communities from Lake Gregory, Crestline, all the way to,
Are those-
Baldwin Lake.
Are those available for a refinance or only on
Yes.
initial purchase?
Well, they're available for refinance if you have an existing USDA loan. And the cool part is, even once Big Bear is not eligible for USDA purchase financing, we will be eligible to do the refinances on existing USDA.
But not from a conventional to a USDA. It
No.
has to be a USDA to start with.
Right.
Okay?
Moving on to an extremely important topic, because most people are thinking that they're done, because they've all heard that if you did a foreclosure or a short sale, that they can't get another house for 7 to 10 years.
Renter
Right.
forever.
You've just committed the cardinal sin in lending, and,
yeah.
you're now blackballed with a black ribbon on your credit and everything else.
Right.
And you pretty much have to give up. What are the programs that are available, or even more important, how soon can these people get back into the marketplace without waiting that 7 to 10 years?
Well, the interesting part is it just depends on the type of financing that they're seeking. In other words, if they're going for a primary residence and they're utilizing FHA, the VA programs, or the USDA programs, as stated here, if they've had a bankruptcy, they can buy anywhere between 2 and 3 years. Okay. If they've had a foreclosure, it's 2 and 3 years. Okay, depending on which option. Loan mods, 2 to 3 years. Short sales, 2 to 3 years. So that's really key for primary residence financing. On second homes, that's a little bit different. If you've had a foreclosure and you go to buy a second home, okay, and you think that because you've heard of all these great primary residence programs, you're assuming that that holds true as well for second homes. It does not. It's 7 years strict, okay, on a foreclosure. However,
For second home.
However, a bankruptcy, 4 years. Okay, so that's not so bad. And guess what? A short sale, if you had a short sale and you have already bought a new primary residence and now you're looking up here in Big Bear and you want to buy a second home, if you're putting 20% down, 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And with 10% down, it's 4 years. So again, great
Lots
news.
of options.
Great
best,
news.
Best suggestion is get a professional. We've said that for a long time. And are you available to just answer questions if somebody says, I want to know where I'm at with this scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I'm not looking to buy for another 6 months or next month, maybe next month, maybe next year. Are you available to answer questions?
Oh, yeah, sure.
How would people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me. My office is right on Big Bear Boulevard. If they want to, schedule an appointment, they can call 909-866-6856 is the office number.
One more
Leave a
time.
message. 909-866-6856. Yes, and I have a cell phone number too, but I don't know if I want to do that. on
Okay,
TV.
you can wait on that one. Do you have
Whatever
an
you want.
email or a website?
I do. I have email. It's mmckinley@summitfunding.net. That's mmckinley@summitfunding.net. You can reach me that way, but calling the office is probably the best
Okay.
way.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Martha.
Oh, yeah,
Really
no, my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
And nice to have somebody that lives here, knows the situation, knows the neighborhoods,
Right,
that can
right.
help us out with some local lending. Thank you so much.
Right, no problem. Thank
All
you for
right.
having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, absolutely.
We'll be
And-
back. I'm
And
sorry,
just,
go ahead.
Just for information, if you didn't get any of that information of hers, you can always contact us at Exit Realty. We're happy to give you the information as well, or you can call the studio while we're on the show, and we'll continue. Anybody that we've had on the show,
Yeah.
we will always give you out that information.
Absolutely. We got to go to commercial. We'll be back in just a minute and bring you up to date with what's going on in the market around the valley. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Good Day Big Bear. Thanks for staying tuned. This is Dan Bathurst,
This is John Wells.
and we're both with Exit Realty, actually.
Yes, we are.
So this is kind of the exit hour.
Yes, this is our moment.
And again, our guest today was Martha McKinley with Summit Funding. And Martha wanted to make sure and point out to somebody, do you know what a new home buyer is? How many of you think if you've never owned a home, ever in your life, you can qualify to be a new home buyer?
Or that you're 21 years old.
Yeah, that's kind of the definition, right? You would think that's right? Wrong. Wrong answer, John. What is?
Well-
It's amazing who qualifies as a new home buyer today. Tell us, Dan.
Well, the new home buyer, according to Martha McKinley, is, and you can contact her on this, is anybody that hasn't owned a home for the last 3 years.
That's it.
So that's what it is.
3
so
years.
Don't think it has anything to do with your age or what part of the market you're in, or if you've had a home 10 years ago
And owned it
you're
for
no
30
longer-
years.
You know,
if you
now-
haven't owned a home for 3 years.
3 years. Just remember that.
You
And
qualify
Martha's
as
the
a new
one
home buyer.
that told us.
Martha's the one. We got a caller. You're live on TV Big Bear. Can I help you?
What's up, Doc?
Yeah, good morning, Noel. How are you today?
Guys look pretty dapper up there with those wonderful ties and suits. I'm going to talk a little bit about Exit Realty because I was at your new offices and I had a wonderful lunch at the Lumberjack across the street. Walked over to, I could spend the day there. I mean, it's like some beautiful inside of a living room.
We're try to keep it cozy, Noel.
I don't know who did the decorating.
I did.
It is beautiful, and it's about going over there just to see your offices.
Wow.
Meet your guys in person, sit around the desk, talk real estate or whatever. And I just wanted to say, even I'm sure you serve lunch there, or you can bring your own.
Sure.
Sit in that wonderful air-conditioned area.
That's what the windows open, right? That's
right.
manual air conditioning.
And it's also a great place to come out. We've got, we're kind of the Chamber of Commerce East.
Yeah.
You know, we've got all the events and activity stuff going on. Gosh, I wonder where that came from. But you can find out more about what's going on. And we're also a can tree drop-off if you want to help out
Very
the
important.
food pantries in the valley. You can bring a can of food, just drop it off at the office. So yeah, I missed you this week, but you were there last week as well. Are we on your regular schedule on Sundays now, Noel?
Well, Sunday we always go to the Lumberjack and eat. And the most fun is coming next door and sitting in that beautiful office. Anyway, I want everybody to go over there and take a look at it.
Thank you so much, Noel. I really appreciate
On
that.
Friday when we do our show for the weekend.
Very good.
What
Awesome.
Jake would say, that's from me.
Thanks, Noel,
Thank
for
you,
the
buddy.
call today. Yeah, make sure you tune in Friday. Noel and I are live Friday morning.
Well,
and
I
the
feel honored that you
rebroadcast
came to
all
my
weekend.
office. I'm really,
You didn't know? He's been twice now.
wow, thank you so much. You're
He
very
just drops
kind.
in, stops, and you know, he says, "So, what's going on now?" You know,
So-
and he's always got stat questions for me.
Good.
Yeah, on what's going on, and then we narrow in on his neighborhood, because so you find out what activities happening in your local neighborhood, which is important. You know, we have stats that we do. I actually have an email that we send out every Friday that gives you quick updates, and we have a website that keeps up with all the stats. And their statistics are important to a certain extent.
Well,
Because you
just
need to
knowing
know what's going
is
on.
important, you know.
And you
That's
can
how we
see
it.
trends happening and things going on. And we're going to talk a little bit today about the last 3 years and how that's varied a tad. But even on a valley-wide, there's some differences. For example, valley-wide, and this is as of yesterday, we currently have 546 listings. So our listings took a tick up
That's good.
in the last couple of weeks.
It's that time of the year.
yes.
Just to let you know.
We have another
reason
call?
that goes.
You're live on TV Big Bear. Good morning.
Good morning, John. It's Gloria. How are you? Good morning, Dan.
Marvelous.
morning.
Good morning, Gloria.
I'm just calling to tell you I really enjoy your show, and I really wanted to call when Marcia was on the air, but to tell you the truth, I was just mesmerized. So I got in too late. I really wanted to say hello to her, but she working escrow for so many years. I just want to tell you how glad I was that you had her on to represent lenders, because as you can see, she's knowledgeable. She looks fabulous, and she calls you back, which is horribly.
That's the key right there.
Well, you know, that's one of the dangers of living here.
Yeah.
If you don't call people back, they see in the post office, they go, hey, what's going on? See it staters or whatever, so.
And that's true. And I know people are always trying to save money, and a lot of people will go online and get a lender that way. But that is not always a good practice, because those lenders sometimes are in other states. They're not familiar with our demographics here. And Martha knows all the ins and outs, and sometimes you're just better off going with a lender that's in your area that knows, all the all the ins and outs of Big Bear. So I just wanted to say that, and I love her very much. And you guys look great, and thank you for putting on such an informative show on Wednesday.
Well, thank you,
Gloria.
And you being an escrow officer for so long, I know you can appreciate what we're trying to do here, and thank you so much for your call.
Thanks.
Gotcha. And I'll see you on Monday, Dan.
You got it, kiddo.
Bye-bye.
Well,
And once again, our guest today was Martha McKinley with Summit Funding, and there's a phone number. Can you see it? I can't see it there.
He's wide awake here today.
One of these mornings.
A direct line is 909-866-6856, and she does have an email, which is mmckinley@summitfunding.net.
So get in touch with her. And the thing I like, I've been doing real estate since '72, long time, and a lot of transactions. And I can't tell you what a difference it is to know somebody who knows the guy who writes the checks.
Well, the advantage in the whole
massive.
marketplace is, you feel more, you obviously want to work with somebody you're comfortable with. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in at Exit, and thank you so much for your comments, Noel, is the fact that we're trying to put in that general store atmosphere where people just know they can just walk in and sit down and get the information they'd like to have. And the same thing with the funding.
Right.
Martha is absolutely amazing when you're spending the time talking to her. She's going to be very informative and help you to where you need to be helped.
So come on out, stop by. We're there just about every day.
Back to stats.
Back to stats. Just real quick, our availability, we range from $3,250,000 is our high listing in residential right now. We have a $6 million commercial listing, and the low is $65,000. 389 square feet. The median right now, $275,000, right there in the middle of it. But our stats valley-wide year to date, now this is as of yesterday, for this year we have 303 sold, closed, done deals, and our average is $181 a foot. Per square foot. So that's our valley-wide average. Last year, same date, we were at 389 transactions sold year to date. So we're off 86 transactions from last year.
Yeah.
And last year we were at $155 a foot. And 2012 we were at 310. So pretty close to where we're at right now, with 7 listings off, and we were at $137 a foot. So we're from 137 to 181 just in the last 2 years. So we are seeing some fairly strong recovering, even though, or probably because there is little or no inventory.
Well, one of the things I would really love to see happen in this market right now is the contractors come back into play. Because we need that low-end market to be picked up in that, like I was just telling Martha, from that 800 to 1,000. This is a perfect opportunity. The dirt is low for the contractors. We really need your help to start buying some property and get in there and build us some homes. It's like anything, just like she said, going down the hill. I'm amazed at how many projects are going on down the hill, and we need to pick it up here a little bit. So.
Well, and what's reflecting that is our days on market, which is from the day it's listed to the day it's sold. Ours is averaging about 84 days right now, and I just looked at the stats for the state of California. Statewide, the average is 34 days.
Right.
34 days.
And a year ago, it was probably 110 to 120.
135.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of just what's coming into the marketplace.
We have 1 minute left. What do you want to say?
I'm going to say, stop by and see us at Exit Realty. We'll go over the rest of the stats with you.
Yes. And we break it down by neighborhood, by area, by day, whatever you want to look at, and have automatic programs where they can automatically email out to you, so you don't even have to talk to us every week.
We can put you right on that cycle for you.
Yeah,
and don't forget the Cantry, that we are a drop-off station, 929 West Big Bear Boulevard, next to the Lumberjack. We would really appreciate anything that you bring by, and every time you're in the market, please bring us a can of food.
Straight to the
people in the valley.
Go straight to the food pantries. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you tune in Friday for Noel and I, and
absolutely.
And then on Monday?
Gloria and Dan. She is the host of the show. I am the co-host. I'm just an anchor guy.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you. Have a great week, everybody.